In this presentation, you will learn about development communication. The practice of using communication processes, methods, and concepts to effect positive social change is known as development communication. Development communication is also the use of communication to aid in the advancement of social development. So it simply helps social development. Information dissemination, that means spread of information, and education, behavior changes, social marketing, social mobilization, media advocacy, communication for social change, and community engagement are all examples of development communication approaches. Erskine Childers characterized it as a discipline in development planning and implementation in which more adequate account is taken of human behavioral aspects in the design of development programs and their aims. Development communication uses strategic communication to help solve social problems in developing cultures. Information dissemination and education, behavior change, social marketing, social mobilization, media advocacy, communication for social change, and community engagement are all examples of development communication approaches. Recognizing the power of communication as a catalyst for social progress is what development communication is all about. It is also the use of existing communication technologies and uses theories for result-driven methods for societal improvement. Development communication can also be defined as purposeful communication aimed at a specific target audience that allows information to be translated into action which results in an improved quality of life. Development communication can also be closely related to the principles of sustainable development, which can be defined as the enhancement of a community via the use of information and technology, as well as the community's ability to maintain the produced ideal state without harming its environment and resources. Development communication can also be seen as the exchange of information with the goal of achieving an agreement on a course of action that takes into consideration everyone's interests, requirements, and capabilities. As a result, it is a social process. History of development communication. The concept of development communication may be traced back to initiatives undertaken in various parts of the world throughout the 1940s, but its broad use arose from challenges that occurred in the wake of World War II. The growth of communication sciences as an academic discipline began in the 1950s with Daniel Lerner, Wilbur Scram, and Everett Rogers among the most significant supporters. According to Maniozo, the history can be divided into 6 different schools like the Bretton Woods School, Latin American, Indian, Los Banos, African, and participatory development communication schools. The World Bank has also taken interest in promoting this field through its Development Communication Division, and in June 2008 it has also established the Development Communication Source Book, a resource addressing the history, concepts, and practical applications in this discipline, reflects the growing interest in these types of applications. Definitions of development communication. Nora C. Cabral created the term development communication in the year 1972, and she defines it as the art and science of human communication, which is linked to a society's planned transformation from a state of poverty to one of dynamic socio-economic growth that makes for greater equity and the larger unfolding of individual potential. The World Bank defines development communication as the integration of strategic communication in development projects based on a thorough grasp of indigenous realities. Development communication in India. In India, still 70% of the population resides in villages. Traditionally, radios have been used to communicate. It has saved people through weather reports, health warnings, etc. especially in remote villages where there are no proper roads even today. Radios help in conveying important announcements, schemes from the government to the people. For example, today Mann Ki Baat, a radio program addressed by the present Prime Minister, discusses the areas about which the people of the country have to work together, like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, volunteering, water conservation, Fit India, exams, women empowerment, environment-related issues and other stories. There are also people given opportunities expressed through the radio through their own life stories. In a diverse country like India, communication of schemes for social development becomes very important. Here the current medium of communication, which is television, radio, newspaper, helps. Important social issues are communicated through competitions, plays, role play, drawings, banners to children in remote areas. Community radio is still an important part of villages, which talks about village priorities, issues, songs, festivals, important decisions related to the village, and even plays devotional songs. These radios are run by the villagers. Let us look into development communication with an example of HIV/AIDS program as to how these programs are handled. Periodically, there are baseline sample surveys being conducted, content developed as form of textbooks, banners, pamphlets, video clips, documentaries, and there is periodic evaluation on the annual impact. Development communication possible steps for the future. Initial assessment of the situation or the audience, designing a strategy to communicate, building the discussion themes for communication, preparing communication methods, materials for communication, going to the field and communicating, feedback or evaluation of the feedback. Development communication from international perspective. Globally too, the importance of development communication has been realized. There are several initiatives taken by international forums for enhancement of communication. The International Programme for the Development of Communication, IPDC, is a United Nations educational, scientific and cultural organization program which focuses on promoting the growth of mass media in poor nations. The United Nations General Assembly on December 10, 1948, adopted and proclaimed Article 19 of the UDHR as a Resolution 21783. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes the freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media regardless of boundaries. In 1977, UNESCO established the International Commission for the Study of Communication Problems, also known as MacBride Commission, and named for its chairman, Sean MacBride. The commission was granted 3 years to conduct investigations and report to UNESCO. The report, Many Voices, One World, was later delivered to the Belgrade Assembly in October 1980. As a result of the findings, UNESCO established the International Programme for Communication Development. According to the program's website, it exists to strengthen the means of mass communication in developing nations by enhancing technical and human resources for the media, establishing community media, and modernizing news agencies and broadcasting organizations. At its General Conference in Paris in November 1987, UNESCO called for the continuation of its major plan, Communication in the Service of Man, in which it reaffirmed that it is essential gradually to eliminate existing imbalances in the field of communication, in particular by fostering the development of infrastructure, training of people, strengthening of production and dissemination capabilities in developing countries, and to encourage a free flow of information. At the UN General Assembly's June 2004 session, it was decided to maintain the Committee to Review United Nations Public Information Policies and Activities with a mandate that included promoting the establishment of a new, more just and more effective world information and communication order intended to strengthen peace and international understanding, based on free circulation and wider, more balanced dissemination of information, and to make recommendations. The goal was to protect more independent local and indigenous media. Thank you for watching the presentation. Do like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments about this presentation or any other topics you would like to learn more about.